Hello, my name is Justin Bates, and I'll be writing my dissertation about a group of Latter-day Saint Christians who traveled to California aboard the ship Brooklyn in 1846. As part of my research, I've identified some scholarly articles on JSTOR that will help to enhance my understanding of the context in which these saints lived, while also providing new avenues of exploration regarding their impact on areas such as religion and politics in early California. Garrett Dirkmatt wrote an article called Enemies Foreign and Domestic, U.S. Relations with Mormons in the U.S. Empire in North America. And while full disclaimer, this source is technically not available on JSTOR. It was referenced in something that I located on JSTOR, and it was so good that I decided to include it. In terms of the sources Dirkmatt uses, he does an excellent job utilizing primary source documents such as personal letters, journals, as well as newspapers contemporary to the era. The methodology he uses, he spends much of his time writing in a narrative format, but he also includes thoughtful conclusions based on incisive analysis of the history. He really knows his stuff. The majority of the research focuses on the fears and conflict between the U.S. and Mormons in the mid-19th century. The value for my research is in its discussion of the Brooklyn Saints leader Sam Brannan's interactions with several corrupt American public officials who tried to pressure or threaten the Saints prior to their departure from the United States. In terms of his conclusions, he describes how the incident involving Brannan only served to enhance the Saints' feelings that the federal government could not be trusted, which helps to contextually inform one of the reasons why the Brooklyn Saints wanted to leave the United States in the first place. The second article is Lauren K. Hansen's Every Book Has Been Read Through, The Brooklyn Saints and Harper's Family Library. And in case you're not familiar, the Harper's Family Library was a 179-volume, very comprehensive collection or body of knowledge that was available in that era. In terms of content and methodology, Hansen narrates the Saints' acquisition and use of the library, but also does an extremely detailed review of the contents of the entire collection and how they were used and distributed once they arrived in California. In terms of his sources, Hansen uses primary sources that inform his understanding of the contents and significance of the library, including numerous first-hand accounts from those aboard the ship. He also uses second-hand commentaries on the significance and growing popularity of reading in the American nation at that time. Conclusions, Hansen argues that among all the books and educational resources that the Brooklyn Saints imported to California, the Harper's Family Library was possibly the most significant, given the extensive and comprehensive amount of information that it contained. The third and final article is Kenneth Owen's Far from Zion, The Frayed Ties Between California's Gold Rush Saints and the LDS President Brigham Young. The sources include some eyewitness accounts and letters between Brigham Young and the Brooklyn Saints leader Brannan that were not previously found elsewhere in my research. In terms of methodology, I'm going to need to research the footnotes further to ensure that all relevant conclusions are based on reliable primary source documents. And the reason I say that is because the author's admiring attitude toward the early California Saints seeps through his writing and may influence some of his conclusions. The overarching theme of the content is the progressively strained relationship between the Gold Rush Saints who settled in California and those who chose to locate in the Great Basin. The Gold Rush will not be a significant component of my research, but Owen's detailed dive into the relationship between Brannan and Young over the issue of where to locate their new Zion will be useful in describing why the Brooklyn Saints started there and why some of them never left. In terms of conclusions, there is little to no indication that the Brooklyn Saints membership in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was a source of contention or a cause for persecution during the first decade after they arrived in California, but it did become so thereafter. So how will all of these contribute to my dissertation? Building on the work that I did for my thesis regarding the Brooklyn Saints' impact on early education, communication, and settlement in the Bay Area, these sources will help me to delve into some other areas of impact as well. For example, Owen's article, including his sources, will help me to explore the effect that the Saints had on religion in California, in terms of missions, churches, and total membership. By extension, these articles may inform conclusions about the effects the Saints had on politics of early California, especially as they tried to reconcile their painful history of persecution by the American government, President Young's defiant attitudes toward federal authorities, and America's recent acquisition of California following the Mexican-American War. In summary, this dissertation is going to argue that the 1846 arrival of the Latter-day Saint pioneers from the ship Brooklyn had a significant impact on the early development and colonization of that area from 1846 to 1860. While the impact will include their prioritizing public education, contributing to the development of several settlements, and enabling rapid advancements in inter- and intra-area communication and connection, it will likely also include their contributions to religion and perhaps even politics. Thank you.